Alright guys, welcome back. This is going to be how to pass the electrical exam. The California electrical exam. Well, I guess any electrical exam. Um, I'm not going to show you guys, I'm not going to teach you guys, equations and navigating the code book. I am going to explain or show or share what I did to prepare and study for the test. When I was starting out, well, not starting out, but when I was preparing to take the test, I felt really lost when it came to, what should I do? Because um, I was in a training program for 11 months, and then, I just went to work right after that. Literally, day after I did my last class, I had an interview. And the day after that, I started working my first electrical job, and I just, ran from there. I know a lot of guys that do apprenticeship programs like WICA, ABC, even the Union, and whatever other programs are out there for apprentices. They walk you through. They have a preparation for taking the exam. The school that I went to, I don't know if there was. I think there was one, but I was, what are you at a school for like 4 years, 5 years out of that point? At that point, so for me, I wasn't even in touch with the school I went to, so I don't even know if that was good or not. But for me, when it came to studying, I remember I was trying to figure out what do I have to do to prepare for the test, and I went on YouTube and I looked some stuff up, and a lot of guys that were making videos were not from California, and I feel like all the videos there was guys talking about they just went out and bought a bunch of random electrical books and just started studying everything, studying hardcore. And so for me, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to buy, 50 books or, even 5 books and go and study and try to figure this out. There has to be an easier way. Um, and I think there is. I think there is a practical way to prepare for the test that's not intimidating, that's not crazy, and you could do great on your electrical exam. So I want to share my advice and a bit about my journey in becoming an electrician. Well, not becoming an electrician, becoming certified as an electrician. I really hope this encourages you and this helps you to see a path for becoming certified, and it takes some of that intimidation off for you. So let's get started. The 10-year apprentice. I remember when I started electrical, I just finished my electrical training program, started working, and I remember a lot of guys weren't certified. We'd have like a couple journeymen, it was a non union private company, and a couple journeymen. And we had a lot of workers, probably like 40 dudes in the company, probably more. And a lot of them were, trainees still. Some of them went through apprenticeship programs. Some of them went through, trainee programs. Some of them never went to school. They just started working. And we used to rag on the guys and make fun of them that were working for like, 8, 9, 10, 15, 20 years that never got certified. And it's funny because I ended up becoming that, 10-year apprentice, 10-year trainee, whatever you want to call it. Um, and, then it wasn't so funny. But, but yeah, so I became that 10-year apprentice, and I didn't have to. Looking back, there was a lot of things that kept me back from taking my test or even taking it seriously. There's a lot of things that intimidated me, and maybe you're in that position. You become that 10-year apprentice, that lifelong apprentice, because you're intimidated, because whatever the case may be. And yeah, so for me, I became that 10-year apprentice. Got the Bernie Sanders. I got to stop using that little picture there, but it's funny. I like it. That was me, the old man, working. At least I felt like an old man working. And I want to go over a couple things in reasons why it took me 10 years to become certified. So let's go over to the next slide. What kept me back? Got the chicken. What had me running like a little chicken from some ugly slime monster. The first thing you see them written out right there was intimidated by the electrical exam. I was intimidated by the test. You talk to people and they say the test is hard. The test was hard. People tell you how many times they failed the test. And that is intimidating because you're thinking in your mind, maybe you're just a mediocre dude like me, and you're like, well, if this dude failed and this guy's good, I'm gonna fail the test too. So I was very intimidated by the test. That was one of the things that just kept me back from trying. The second thing was the financial cost of taking the test. It's like what, $150 to take your first test, and then there's $92 to get a printout of your hours. So it's like it's a lot of money, especially when you're a trainee. You're not making a ton of money. I don't know. I was making like, I don't know, maybe like $30 an hour. And I could put the money aside and take the test. But when you're thinking about um, being intimidated by the test and the fact that you probably aren't going to pass the test, you're going to sit there for, what, 4 hours taking a test, and then you're going to lose almost $300 because you failed. It's really intimidating. Those two things alone are just intimidating. And one of the things that intimidated me about the exam is the third one right here, not knowing how to prepare for the test. One, I knew the test was going to be difficult. Two, I didn't know what was on the test. What am I supposed to actually study? And how do I know how to prepare for the test? What do I do? I felt like I didn't have anybody around me. And but there were a couple people that told me, just take a class, dude. Take a class. And I didn't really listen to them because in my mind, like, I couldn't see what was on the test. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take this class. I actually did take a class in my fourth year when I was working for Helix back in my Helix days. And I honestly, I wasn't serious about it. And I'm going to say that if you do take a class and you're not serious about it, um, yeah, you're not going to get anything out of it. But I took a class at ABC, and maybe it was good, maybe it wasn't, I don't know. But the reason I didn't take it seriously was I still had, I don't know, almost a year before I could actually have enough hours to take the test. And looking back now, I realized that I could have took the test then. I could have been serious about that, signed up, took the test, and then waited until my hours were fulfilled, and then they would have sent me my certification. I didn't actually have to wait till I had a full 8,000 hours. Um, but I didn't know that at the time. So when I took the test, the exam, the class, it was more just to see what was on the test and gather some information. So I didn't really take it seriously. It was a waste. Um, and I became a lead man in probably my third year. It's probably common for a lot of people, especially working in private companies. I became a lead man in my third year, and then in my fourth year, I ran my first job. I didn't even have enough. I just left Helix, I think, and I didn't even have enough hours to be a journeyman. And I got to this company where all this guy's employees quit, like I think a few months before I got there, and he was just trying to find guys to work. He had like one journeyman and a bunch of like fresh dudes, and he hired me on. And he had a couple projects, so he asked me if I wanted to run one. And by that time, it was a residential project, pretty small. I pretty much knew everything about residential. It's not that difficult to learn. And so I took it on, and it was a residential prevailing wage job here in California. So I think I was getting $30 an hour, and that's not a lot to be running a job. But the fact that I was getting $30 an hour, which was more than I was getting paid normally in my fourth year as a trainee, and I was getting the added experience of getting to run a project. So for me, it was it was a really good deal. Even though I wasn't getting paid that much, I mean I wasn't worth that much. I was just it was my first job running it, and my first time running a job. So I took that on, and from there on out, I was just getting paid around $30 an hour, and I was getting I was doing residential at the time. So for residential dudes, that's like pretty much top dollar. You get 30, 32, maybe 35 an hour if you're a worker for most residential companies. And it's commercial where you actually get paid in the 40s or 50s. And so I recommend it if you're doing electrical. shoot for a commercial. The benefit of commercial is you typically get paid more. The benefit of residential is you typically have longer job sites. So you have more longevity, more job security for longer periods of time. So, you just got to weigh it out to, pros against cons. So I was getting paid top dollar. I thought I was because I was getting paid what all the journeymen were getting paid. And yeah, so for me, it was seemed pretty good. It seemed I didn't see the reason to get certified. If somebody would have told me, "Hey, we'd pay you more money if you got certified," I would have went and got probably got certified or had more of an incentive to. But because I was getting paid what all the other the actual certified guys were getting paid, um, and then I had experience running a job site, and at that time I I've known journeymen, or sorry, foremen that have never got their journeyman card. I've known foremen that let their journeyman card expire. I mean, that's a stupid thing to do, but they did it because it's like, dude, I run jobs. I don't need to be certified. And for the most part, that's pretty true for most companies. It's like they want a guy to manage the job, not necessarily doing the work, just managing these guys so he doesn't have to be certified. And, I kind of took that and ran with it and used that as another excuse to not get certified. And but the reality of it is, I was just intimidated to take the test. I didn't have good guidance, and I'm really hoping I could help give people some good guidance so that they could go and they could take the test. So that's kind of things that kept me back, being intimidated by the exam, the financial cost of the exam, not knowing how to prepare for the test or what was going to be on the test, and the fact that I was getting paid pretty good at my company that I was at. All right, moving on to the next one. What motivated me to take the leap? Found this little comic strip. There's a little credit down there. I don't know what that says, but you can read it. It says, "I understand the concept, sir, but I think I'd do better if it were a donut." Right? And sometimes you got to find the right motivation, which is weird because sometimes we know the right thing to do. We know how dumb the thing is that we're doing, and we just don't have the right motivation. So for me, there was a few things that motivated me. The first one, first and foremost, I got married, and weddings are expensive, rings are expensive, and just like dating, everything you buy two of. You go out to eat, buy two things to eat. And it's expensive. Some of you guys are married right now, and you have kids, and you realize it is expensive. So at that point, I realized I need to make more money. I thought I was making good money until I got married. Then I realized, oh, I need to make more money. And my wife really motivated me to go and get certified. And she was real, yeah, inspiration and a point of motivation for me to go and to get certified. The second thing is I hit the pay cap at work. Just knowing that I could get paid more money if I were like doing commercial or if I moved up to being a foreman again, because the company I was at when I got certified, I wasn't a foreman. Um, and I knew that I could potentially get more money if I knew more about electrical, if I knew how to navigate the code book more, um, and if I was certified. So I there was an opportunity at that company to make a little bit more money, nothing crazy. Um, so that kind of motivated me. I needed to make more money, and they were telling me they couldn't pay me anymore because I didn't have my J card, which is funny because they ended up hiring a guy after I left, and they paid him more than I got as a journeyman, um, while he wasn't certified. So just know that about companies. They could pay you whatever they want. If a company says they can't because whatever reason, it doesn't mean they can't. It means they won't. They don't want to. So just know that. And sometimes it's if you want to move up financially, you have to take the risk of moving out of the company that you're at. I know sometimes you feel like you have some security there. I was just talking to a guy the other day. He was a HVAC guy, and this guy is frustrated because his boss puts everything on him. And he was telling me, man, my boss doesn't answer the phone. He's not even the foreman. He's a lead man. He's like, I have to pick material up after work and keep it in my truck, and I have to, drive to all these places and get there before work or get there after work. And um, he was like, by the end of the day, like I'm getting prevailing wage over here, but by the end of the day, I'm not even making that much more money because all the extra gas I'm spending, all the extra time I'm putting in, and you know, I was talking to him. I was saying, well, why don't you leave, go to another company? He was like, well, I've been here for like 15 years, and I don't want to end up going to another company and it not working out, getting fired, and having to come back. And he said because he's seen a lot of guys do that. But that's a fear mentality, and I understand it. Sometimes you got to take care of a family, and you can't take that risk. But sometimes you have to take that risk. You have to just say no. Okay, I'm gonna find a company that's good, and I'm gonna see what are the requirements to get to it. Because honestly, if you were to get a raise, what do you get? Like $2, $3 maybe, a raise in your company. But if you go to another company, I mean, there's no limit to what they're willing to pay you. Companies are willing to pay guys more to start off than they're willing to pay guys in raises that have been faithful to that company. Just know that. So a lot of times moving up means moving out, and you can't be intimidated. All right, so where did I end? I hit the pay gap at work or pay cap at work, and the third was lack of options for companies. Like I remember I applied for Bird, and I was only asking for like $30 at the time because that's kind of around what I was getting paid. But they said, dude, you've been in the trade for I think it was like 7 years at that point. He's like, and you're not certified. Like I can't hire you. Like, and I'm not going to pay you $30 an hour even at not being certified because what you're basically doing is showing me that you're not motivated as an electrician. Why would I hire you on and pay you a decent amount if you're not even motivated as an electrician? And this guy, very candid dude, told me straight up exactly why he wouldn't hire me, and that if I was even signed up to be certified, if I signed up for the test, he would have given me a job. He said, sign up for the test and start the process, and I'll give you a job, and I'll give you $30 an hour. Might have been 32. I can't remember what it was. And I left that place not willing to sign up for it. I just went and looked for another company, being prideful, thinking I'm not jumping through hoops for this company. But I really respected that guy because he was honest. Why should he pay me more money as an unmotivated electrician? You can tell I'm unmotivated because I'm not doing the next step in my career. So I had a lack of options in other companies. There was quite a few companies who just wouldn't hire me because I wasn't certified, or wouldn't pay what I wanted because I wasn't certified. So that was a thing. And then the fourth thing here is wanting to provide for a family. Not just getting married, but I would like to have kids. I would like to buy a house. Can't do that on $30 an hour in most places in California. So I needed to make more money. So those are the things that started to motivate me. Getting married, hitting the pay cap at work, lack of options for companies, and wanting to have a family, have kids, have a house. And these things motivated me, especially when you start sitting down and doing budgets and you're married and you're like, I didn't know I was broke. I thought I was making pretty good money when I was, roommating with some guys and, paying, what, I can't remember what I paid. I paid like almost nothing compared to paying actual, rent in my own one bedroom apartment with my wife. So it's getting expensive. So, that should be motivation enough for all of us. All right, let's hit the next slide. How did I prepare for the test? I found this meme. It's kind of funny. Whole year, just chilling at the beach. Night before the exam, stressing out, plopping your eyes open. During the exam, don't even want to look at it. Yeah, it's kind of funny, but it's kind of true. Taking tests for most people, I think, is pretty intimidating. So I just want to share exactly what I did because I took the test twice. Um, Failed the first time, almost passed. It's somewhere in like the mid 60s, mid to high 60s. I think I failed by like 3 points. Um, but not just failing by 3 points. I felt like I didn't know a lot of the stuff that was on the exam. I felt pretty lost. So uh, even if I would have passed, I would have felt like, well, I really don't know a lot of what I think I should know as a journeyman electrician. So it was good, in my opinion, that I failed the first time. But here's what I did to prepare for the test, for the journeyman electrical exam in California. The first thing is I studied a journeyman prep book. I purchased a book on Amazon. I'll show you guys in a minute what book that was. And I went through the whole thing. I actually purchased this book twice. I purchased the 2014 version, and I never studied it. Didn't plan on taking the exam. I was pretending. And then I ended up purchasing the 2017 to go and to study for the test. And I studied through it. It was a really good book. I studied through it, helped me out, but then I failed. I just used that book and I failed. Um, Even though I did get in the mid to higher 60s on the test, almost passed. The book was a real good help to me, and I'll share a little bit of the pros and cons about the particular book. But the second thing I did was I took a journeyman prep class. I'll share about a little bit about the class in a minute that I took, but I took a 2 week crash course class, and let me tell you, that thing helped me out so much. Uh, the first time I took the journeyman test, I went down to the last second. I went down swinging, trying to pass that test. And I wasn't sure if I passed it. It was 50-50 in my mind whether I passed it or not, and then I failed. But the second time I took it, after studying this book, going through the entire journeyman prep book, and all the book is tests. It's not teaching you anything really. They have some stuff with it, some explanations of why they came to the answer that they came to, but it doesn't really teach you anything. It's just tests. That's it. And then the class, it teaches you stuff. It teaches you how to do equations, pipe fill, box fill, voltage dropped, Ohm's law. Um, it has practice, tests as well, and that really benefited me. But the second time I took the test, I passed an hour early. I remember there was like 13 questions I wasn't sure of, and I passed. And once I not passed, but I finished. And once I finished, I was like, "What the heck?" I hit the end. I felt like I breezed through it. I knew I aced the test while I was taking it. I was 1,000% confident because I knew the answers, and or I thought I knew the answers. Um, and I was knocking it out. And when you're taking the test, you could mark questions to come back. And at the end, after you take the test, it goes straight to your marked questions, and you could just go back and forth between them. Makes it really easy. I went back and I was able to go through all the marked questions that I had that I didn't know, and I answered all of them except for like two. I just couldn't find them. But I felt so confident. I mean, I waited till the last minute to leave. I used all my time up. I recommend, unless you're 1,000% sure, I mean, use your extra time. Make sure you double check whatever you can, and just to try your best to make sure you pass. Don't be I'd seen some guys that they finish it in like a couple hours, hour and a half, two no, not hour and a half, like 2.5 hours, 3 hours, and they just get up and leave and like, yeah, I'm done with the test, and they failed. I mean, I know guys that did that and passed, but I know guys that did that and failed. So I studied a journeyman prep book, I took a journeyman prep class, and then I prayed not to fail the second time. So prayer's not gonna make you pass a test, but I definitely prayed that Lord would help me study and help me do a good job, and He came through. So the book I used, this is the book I used, Electrician's Exam Preparation Guide. I had the 2017 version. And think about the book, honestly, I feel like if I would have used the 2014 book, I would have still passed, because the thing the book does, and let me just read them off, what the book does. It helped me to learn to navigate the code book. See, by this time, I've already been in the trade for around 9 years, and I'm going into my 10th year, and it was a long time since I took any type of course or any type of test, and I didn't really use the code book. You barely use it when you're on a job site and you're not in charge. You're not running something. For most electricians, I'll say. So I didn't know how to navigate through it. So this helped me navigate through it because it actually takes you um, chapter by chapter through the NEC. So it teaches you, gives you tests on each section of the NEC to make you familiar with that section, And then towards the latter half of the book, it starts to mix sections up together without telling you, so that you get used to flipping back and forth. So I highly recommend this book or a book like it. The second is it helped me get used to finding answers and taking tests. The whole book is tests. So I got used to finding answers, taking tests, looking stuff up. Excellent, excellent book. The book's filled with tests, and the tests that test you in individual code sections